Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Excuse me for my raspy voice. I was working this weekend selling beer at a beer booth in Fiesta, but that's besides the point. I am here to tell y'all about my experience with my new girls. I just had them done exactly a month and a few days ago, so I'm exactly a month away from post-op. So I'm cleared, I'm back at the gym, and I'm excited to tell y'all about my experience. I want to tell y'all first off about why I did them. And it has to do a lot with the fact that my first pair was an impulsive decision. I want to say I was 21, 22 at the time. It was almost 5 years ago. December marks 5 years. And I decided to do them because when I first got them, I was, of course, very young. I decided to do them in Mexico, and I kind of didn't really do my research. I was just like, I want this now. And I kind of verbalized it on a Monday, and by Saturday, I was in the operating table. Do not do that. The only thing I looked at was a few YouTube videos, which is why I was like, I'm gonna do this, because a lot of people did not speak about this when I was doing my YouTube research. So first of all, it was an impulsive decision. I was young. I was comparing my body to a lot of other Instagram people's bodies, and I was like, here I am, concave. You can literally see my heartbeat. Let me go get my boobs done. So I didn't really know about the difference between a high, a low profile, a medium profile, moderate. Like, I didn't know none of that. I just went in and was like, this is what I want. Showed them an Instagram picture, and he was like, good, I got it. Let me mark you up, get you suited. So before all of that happened, I kind of told my mom, because of course I need to have someone to take care of me post-operatively. And my mom, being the Christian that she is, do not laugh at that. She was like, esas son cosas y mentiras del diablo. So I was like, girl, you're crazy. You always say this. Todo lo que yo digo son mentiras del diablo. Let me show you. She's like, a ver, vente pa'l cuarto. Let me see your boobs. Her mouth literally fucking dropped, and she was like, make that appointment. So we were on our way on a Friday. I got operated on Saturday. I actually was so excited about my experience just having new boobs. I didn't know how many cc's I left with. I did know I had a high profile, but I didn't know how they were gonna sit, because of course you leave, you're swollen, you're bandaged up, and you're just excited. So that was me. I didn't have a bad experience with my first one. I actually bounced back pretty fast. I had my operation on Saturday, and I was working by Monday, which I thought was extremely amazing. I do want to say to always have someone to take care of you. My mom was actually not the best decision. We had to drive to Monterrey, which is where I had my first ones done at. And then on my way back, I stayed Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I was back here. We left Monday really early in the morning so I could be back at work. So on my way back, I didn't think about it. We were at the border for like about 2 hours, and I had to go to the restroom. And of course, you need assistance with everything. I had drainage in, which I don't understand why I had drainage in. And when I left, I still had the drainage in. I had to wait 6 days post-operatively to get them removed. Didn't think about that, just left Mexico, came back over here, was working, and I was like, okay, I'll be back on Saturday to get my drains out. Well, then he texts me on Wednesday, my doctor, he's like, hey, you're good to get your drains out if you have anybody to do them where you work at, because he knew I was in the medical field. Of course, I was excited. I was overwhelmed with the fact that I wanted these drains out. So I just had a nurse practitioner of where I worked at the time to just pull them out. Crazy, right? So pulled out my drains, and then everything was extremely easy after that. My recovery, I didn't have any pain. I thought the price was amazing. My experience with him was amazing. He went to go see me, the doctor, at my hospital visit. My mom was there. So everything was fine. I just didn't think about the travel time back, which I was in extreme pain, because whenever my mom, I didn't feel pain, but as soon as my mom would like hit a curve, in which, you know, the traveling to Mexico is not the smoothest, and there's no highways. So every single time my mom would like jump a curve and my body would do this, I was just like, and I didn't think about that. I had to go to the restroom while we were at the border. I had to wait. And if you know about surgery, you're not supposed to hold your pee or your poop. None of that. So I didn't think about any of that. Hence, fast forward to 4 years later, I start noticing that the way my boobs were sitting, they were just very high. I had a very big indentation at the top of where the implant was. So it went like normal skin, boom, line of implant and implant. So anybody that saw me, there was no like, are those fake? Are those not fake? It just looked extremely plastic. And which is okay, because if you get surgery, like, you don't go with the mindset of wanting to look natural. Every doctor will tell you if you want natural, just buy a push-up bra. So I was okay with it for a while, but then now I'm 28 and I'm trying to pick up my daughter from school, and you just see these big old deviation lines. And also my boobs were kind of deviating to the side instead of sitting at where they were for like 2 years. After 2 years post-operatively, they started deviating to the side, which is normal because your body's always forcing gravity. No one didn't tell me do not sleep without a bra, don't work out without a high performance bra. No one told me none of that. He told me don't massage your boobs, you're gonna have drains, take them out in 6 days, and that's it. You'll be good to go, la 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 la. So that's what I did. Well, hence now 4 years later, my boobs are deviating to the side due to the fact that I would sleep without a bra. When I would go out, I would just wear pasties. Then one of them, I don't know if it's due because of the working out or what, or if my body was just naturally rejecting it, but my right side started having a contraction, which is normal for people. It always happens in like 65% of cases, and I was aware of this, but mine happened so late post-op. It was like 3 years post-op, and I remember just one day coming home from the gym, and I was sitting down with my sister-in-law, and I was like, I feel very uncomfortable. Whenever I would move this shoulder, it would feel like a hard, like, rock. So I told her, hey, can you feel them? Is it just me? She feels them, and she's like, what the fuck? So that's when it was like in my awareness now that I was like, something's going on. My body's rejecting this, la la la. This was 2 years ago, 3 years post-op for my first ones. I go to see my primary care doctor, and he's like, there's obviously a contraction. Your body's rejecting the implant. Why so late? I can't tell you. That's just the way the body works. Let's do an ultrasound just to make sure and rule out that there's no leakage or rupture of implant. I went ahead and did it right away, like the next day, scheduled it, went in. The ultrasound tech was like, there's no leaks. She did it on both. There's no ruptures. It just shows a hard contraction. So then I go back to my doctor, and he's like, well, there's really nothing that I can do because I'm not a plastic surgeon, duh. But nothing will happen if you don't take it out either. Like, there's no pros or cons to leaving it in or leaving it out. The only cons is that, of course, it's hard. You're self-aware, and anyone else around them, boyfriend, whatever, husband, is going to be aware that there's just one boob that's harder than the other. When you looked at them, both of them looked like they were completely normal. You couldn't tell that there was a contraction. You could just feel it. That's the only difference. So I waited about a year and a half later. I kept complaining about it to Jose, my partner. And I was like, I hate this. Whenever I lay down, one, of course, the soft one would just normally sit. And this one would just sit really high because it was contracted and hard. And since y'all know I go to the gym and I would be doing abs, I would be like, who the fuck is looking at me before I sit down? And there's just one hard ass ball and the other one's deviated. And then like when I would do back, my self-consciousness was like, everybody can tell. Everybody's looking at me. This is embarrassing. So it started fucking with my psyche. Then I kind of still went on, and I was like, I can deal with this. I'm a strong ass fucking female. I'm not going to let this mentality hit me. So then I want to say 3 months ago, my little brother had a gender reveal party, and my brother hugs me, and he's just like, what the fuck? So now it wasn't just I'm aware, my boyfriend's aware, but now like people that hug me and squeeze me can fucking tell, and I can just tell by his face expression that he was like, what the fuck is going on? I come home and I tell Jose this, and he starts laughing, because to him it's just like, okay, we're aware of this, like why is it such a big deal? But to me, I started crying, and I was like, no, now other people are aware. I need to fix this. So I kept repeating that. My friend works at a plastic surgeon's office, Dr. Young, big shout out, because he's the owner of the great work that's on me now. She tells me, you shouldn't have to deal with this. Like, this is an easy fix. He either goes in there, ruptures the capsule, or we just replace your implants, right? So, of course, you always need another strong-ass female to tell you, shout outs to Vale, to tell you, just do it. So, of course, I'm not working right now. So I was like, let me tell Jose, what does he think? Like, I'm not just going to go and drop 4 to 6 grand on a new pair of tatas when I don't need them, like necessity versus want, like, you know? So this was, of course, in a want to anybody else, but to me it was a necessity. So then I was like, let me talk to Jose. I'm gonna get this through to him, and we're just gonna get this done because there's no reason why I'm still waiting. Like, what am I waiting for? I'm not getting any younger, and I'm not gonna get them redone at 50. So I was like, let me just do this now, because when summer comes, I'm not gonna be sitting there with the fucking fat ass contraction. So then I do my appointment. I come back and I tell Jose, what do you think? Now I actually know the difference between a high profile, a medium profile, and a low profile. And he's like, what do you want? Like, what's the main reason why you want these boobs? And I was like, I want them done because the ones I have, the contraction is a big problem, like emotionally, and like to me in my head, it's just didn't make sense for me to keep it there, even though it wasn't any risk to my health. But I was like, I don't like them. I don't know why I'm still sitting here. If my first ones were impulsive, now that I've actually like sat on this for 2 years, why am I still waiting for this? And then not only that, but the fact that I had a big crevice in the middle and my boobs were just like to the side, and I will post a picture right here of what that looked like. And then after I saw that, I was like, Jose, fuck you. And all my friends that let me go out looking like this, thinking I was hot, because this is not cute. Like, this is not cute. And no one told me that my boobs were to the side. So I continued to think I was fucking hot, and it isn't cute. So then that was second reason. Third reason was because, of course, I'm now 28, and I was like, cool, big boobs, big implant crease was cute when I was like 21 to 25, but I'm now 28. My daughter's about to be 11 this year, and I shouldn't be walking around looking vulgar. As it is, my butt, because of the gym, like just has a hard crease from all the muscle, and people are obviously constantly asking me if my butt is fake. So I was like, then this is just right deviates to my boobs, because they're like, well, if her boobs are fake, her ass has to be fake. And that is not true, because if y'all have followed me for long enough, y'all know I am always at the gym. So I was like, I can fix my butt, but my boobs, that's something money's gonna have to fix. So I was like, I need to do this. And then I was like, I'm starting to go to church. I'm starting to look like a mommy, and I'm about to be 30. These high, big implant creases and all of that making me look vulgar. It's not cute anymore. Let's change this. Then he was like, pues ya hazlo. I don't know why you keep thinking about it, right? But me, I need self-affirmation from someone else before I do a big decision. Especially after my first experience with my first implants, where my mom was just like, let me see them. Okay, no, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go do this. I needed someone now that was like, I need more than just looks of why you want to do this. So this time around, I had my consultation with Dr. Young, and they showed me the difference between a high profile, a medium profile, and a low profile. Of course, I couldn't try them on because I already had implants on, so I couldn't really see what it was. I wanted a reduced implant. I didn't want them to sit as high as they were, because my other ones sat kind of like right here. So y'all can see these kind of sit lower. There isn't a big crease. And then from the side, you can't really see them. It was just like up here, and it was just like automatically big, and then it would just drop. So with these, I kind of got a medium profile. I got more volume because my last ones were 350, which I left without knowing that they were 350. So when I consulted with this doctor, he was like, well, how many do you have in? And I was like, Mexico, unos cinco, once, whatever the fuck the number is. Trying to text my old doctor, like, hey, do you remember 5 years ago how many cc's I got? And he was like, I don't even know who you are. So yeah, we had to wait till my surgery date for him to be like, well, we're just gonna have to weigh him the day of your surgery, and I'm gonna order 2 medium profile implants, moderate implants, and we'll just go from there. I'll order like one really high and one really low, and then we'll just go from there. Not really high, really low, but we went 300 to 350, and then 400 to 450. So he was like, because you kind of know you're kind of in the middle. He also looked at them. He was like, yeah, I kind of feel like you're in the middle of 300, 400. So we're just going to order an implant under and an implant above. And I'll sit both of them and I'll kind of make my decision. I thought that was perfect. I was like, the main problem is I don't want them to go from like skin to high and just boom. Like I didn't want that anymore. So he was like, okay. And I was like, when I turn to the side, I want them to look like they naturally fall, not this big skin, boom, just fall. Like it was not, there was no fall. It was just implant. So he was like, okay, I get where you're coming from. But to fix your deviation in the middle, the fact that you have a hard crease in the middle and your deviation to the side, we're gonna have to go more in volume. But I didn't understand that since the implant was wider, the more volume didn't mean more out. It just meant that there was more volume to fill to the sides also, which is what I needed to fix that big hard crease I had. So my last implants, he weighed them and they were 350 cc's. These implants, I went with 450 cc's, but they were moderate compared to my highs that I last had. And he also had to open up my pocket a lot more so that there was more room for them to, like, of course, go to the side instead of just going up and down. So he went ahead and he did that. I am going to go ahead and speak about my experience post-operatively because I wasn't aware of this pre-operatively. But this also comes with a lot of my impulsivity and not taking care of my body, not being self-aware of what my body was doing. But when I came out of my operation, it was super quick. I got it done on a Wednesday during spring break. Came out, my surgery was only supposed to last an hour according to my surgeon. Here I come out 2 to 3 hours later and I have my friend Vale in front of me and she's like, oh my God, girl, how do you feel? And I'm like, I feel good. Like I felt like the way you feel when you come out of surgery, you're like toda babosa. So I was like, and then I could tell her face and my friend Jocelyn's face that they were just like worried about me. And then the anesthesiologist comes and he's like making sure I'm okay, how I'm feeling, tingling or whatever. And he's like, we saved your life. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, huh? And of course I'm still feeling babosa from the anesthesia. So I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, your left implant was completely ruptured. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, yeah. He's like, you were so busy concentrated on your right, your left implant was completely like ruptured. Like it was out of its pocket. I'm just surprised that it stayed within its like not its capsule, but it stayed within the same area that the implant was supposed to stay. He's like, I'm honestly surprised at the fact that you couldn't tell that by just looking at them. I couldn't tell, your surgeon couldn't tell, the nurses, no one can tell that implant was ruptured. And it's crazy to me that I went in complaining about my right side when actually my left side was the one that could potentially like cause me a huge risk. Of course, I start getting emotional and I'm just like, wow, I didn't think about this. Like this comes with the impulsivity of not doing my research. I honestly, till this day, I can't think back of a time that I hit my chest or did anything to rupture that implant. It was a silicone, so it stayed within its area. But of course, it always runs the risk of moving to other areas and it comes with a toxicity. Now that I had this understanding for my second implant, having that understanding that I had a rupture kind of like impacted me. As soon as I got in the car, I start crying, start telling Jose, and he's like baffled. He's like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? And then Vale, my friend, starts telling him like, yeah, she had a ruptured implant. Like, she didn't even know. And he's like, did you ever feel it? I'm like, never. Thinking back to this experience, I'm like, 2 years ago, I had an ultrasound to make sure none of them were ruptured. So this had to have happened within that 2-year time frame. I didn't have a car accident. I can't remember ever dropping weight on me. I asked, could this have had happened because I hit the gym so hard? And he's like, honestly, no. He's like, because unless you're like bench pressing like a man, there's just no way that your muscle could have caused like a hard impact to where it's gonna rupture a silicone especially. So I just can't understand that. I can't think back of like my dogs or anything hitting that implant. So it kind of just started hitting on my head. I called my mom because I didn't tell my mom about my second implants. I call her and I'm starting to tell her about how grateful I am that she was with me for my first experience and that I got a new pair, and I wanted to tell her about my rupture. And she's like, y luego, Ángel, like, ya ves, you should do your research and you should go to God because these are cosas del diablo. And I'm like, oh my God, this is where we disconnect. But tampoco no me hice la sufrida because I know that this is something that I self-inflicted. But I think that it needs to be brought up to awareness. If you do have implants on, you should be doing your annual mammogram. Not only that, but make sure they're looking for ruptures. I missed my last ultrasound on my breast, which I could have probably lowered that time frame to when my rupture happened to now. Do your research. Know who's doing your surgery. Know what profile of implant you want. Know that you're gonna have these implants in from 5 to 7 years, and if you don't plan on replacing them like you should within that 5 to 7 year time frame, you're gonna have these implants for a long time. So it's a big decision. Your health is at risk if you do have a rupture, especially from silicone, because there is toxicity to it. This time I went around and got saline, which I was very grateful that I made that decision, because I was like, if this ruptures, there's just water going all over my body. What am I gonna do? Hyperperfuse or like get more hydrated? So I was like, I'm just gonna get saline, because if I do run the risk of rupturing again, I don't have toxicity just sitting there for God knows when. If it ruptures, I'm gonna be very aware because it's just gonna dissolve automatically. And I would just go remove them because I'm not going through this for a third time. But you do need to be self-aware of that. If you do have a contracture, go to your doctor, do your ultrasounds, draw your lab work. This kind of, I was like thinking back at like everything that has happened to me in the past 2 years. And I was like, I remember one time getting a lab drawn. They were like, oh, there's tox screenings in there. And it shows kind of like abnormal. So I'm like, this could have been on my implant. Could it have not? I will never know. But I'm, of course, thinking back to everything that could have happened. I was having a lot of GI issues. All of those videos that show implant sickness and that could have been me. Will I ever know? Probably not. But of course now I'm like self-diagnosing myself, and I'm like, this is why all of this was happening to me. That kind of wraps up my whole video. I will be making a video about why I chose to do not choose, but my experience between my Mexico breast augmentation and my US breast augmentation. This time I chose to do it here just because, of course, we didn't want to run the risk of like having tubes in for 6 days, having a random person pull them out, which I was surprised at because this doctor didn't actually put any tubes in me. I left with nothing on, just my gauze and my bandage, which I was extremely excited about. My recovery for this time, I don't know if it was due to the fact that I had a rupture, but he said he had to like scavenger around and see if there was like any substances or like textures left outside of my pocket. So he had to like search in there. So I did have bruising all the way back behind like my arm, all on my side, of course my middle where he opened up my pocket, and on the side of the other one because he wanted to make sure everything was out, that he didn't leave anything in, especially on that ruptured side. But my recovery this time was extremely ridiculous. I sat up for a whole month like you're supposed to, but even after then, I still had Jose have to like push on my back to bring me up. Still, when I lean forward, I just feel a lot of pressure to go to sleep. I start getting muscle spasms. I didn't have any of those experiences on my first ones. Why that happened? Probably because of my bad decision. My body was younger then, so I bounced back really quick. But those are things to think about. I was out of the gym for a month. I didn't drink for about 3 weeks because of my self-consciousness that I had a rupture. I was like, if anything, I'm just not going to do it. But I do want to make a video regarding my past experience in my Mexico operation with my experience now in the US, because I do know that once y'all are like, I'm going to get a BBL, I'm going to get my boobs done, y'all just run to Mexico because it's a few dollars less. And I just want to tell y'all the pros and the cons between both of them. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Don't get a ruptured implant. And if you do, go get surgery right away. I love y'all. Thank you for following me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, post comments down below. I will be posting a picture right here of my ruptured implant and of the implant that was contracted, but they didn't post a picture of my contraction. And then these are my new girls now. I'm not going to be posting them completely because they're not healed yet. So I'm not giving y'all a complete review until it's like 6 months post-op. But I'm a month post-op, and I can tell y'all now, I can tell the big difference of where they sit. They're not like extremely to the front, and I'm just happy. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.